Oh hey, this is Trav. I'm just setting a live catch bird trap that my Uncle Gary taught me how to make when I was 10 years old. You may have nuisance bird species getting into the eaves of your house, or you may have a woodpecker that's drilling a hole through your siding or through your stucco, or you may simply want to live trap a bird as part of a study. Put bird seed here on the lid and inside the can. When the bird hops along and touches the tab here, he's caught safely inside. Then you can take him and let him go at your convenience. When I was a little guy, my folks told me that I could catch a wild bird if I could just pour some salt on its tail. I can't tell you how many times I went out with a salt shaker in the hopes of catching an elusive wild bird. Then I made a revolutionary discovery. It involved a cardboard box, a stick, and a string. I can't tell you how many hours, actually how many days I spent out behind our tree watching the spot beneath that old box. Some birds would go under the box, and to my dismay, I'd find that the string had gotten caught in something on the ground, and when I pulled it, the string would break. Or the birds were too quick and would simply fly away before the box fell. Then one day it actually happened. A lone house sparrow somehow remained underneath the box long enough for me to catch him. Just about that time, my older brother came from around the corner of our house where he'd been playing basketball. "What's under the box?" he asked. "A sparrow, my first bird that I've ever caught," I told him. "Yeah, right," he said as he kicked the box away, and we both watched as my first bird flew out of sight. You can only imagine my excitement when one day Uncle Gary came for a visit from out of state. Now, my Uncle Gary is a big burly guy. He rides horses. He hunts deer, but best of all, he taught me how to make my very own live bird trapper. Today we're going to be using a gallon-sized coffee can, some tie wire, mouse trap, and in place of chicken wire, we're going to use 1/2-inch square hardware cloth. You can buy this at your local hardware store. It comes on a roll, and you can just buy it by the foot. I'm going to start by removing this end of the can. We're going to save this lid, and now we've got our can open on both ends. The next step is we need to put the hardware cloth on one end of the can. What that shows is when the bird looks into that trap, it can see through and it doesn't have as much fear going inside the can. If it's solid on the back, it's more like going into a cave and is less inclined to enter the trap. So I lay the can on the hardware cloth for a measurement, and we're going to go ahead and just cut the hardware cloth about 1 inch wider than the diameter of the can. If we just wrap the wire smoothly around the can, when the bird's inside, the can can roll around. So what I like to do is fold it only on the top and the bottom, and it creates a more stable platform for your trap. I'm going to cut this off right here. And I'm just going to use my pliers. Got a pair of linesman's pliers. We're going to tighten that up nice and snug. Now we don't want a bird to be able to escape through this space. So what I need to do is drill a hole in the can on each side and wire the hardware cloth to the end of the can. Run the wire through the hole, back out through the hardware cloth, tighten that down again with our pliers. Okay, the next step is to wire the mousetrap into the can. Remember, the mousetrap needs to be facing toward the can so that it closes. Before I wire my mousetrap into the can, I want to make sure that it's sitting flat so it's not off to one side. So I'm going to just set it in the bottom like so, take a marker, and draw a couple of lines that'll help me line the trap up. And you can see how the lid is bending. So one trick that I learned is to take a hammer and I'm going to pound on the lid to form it somewhat into a bowl. And that concave shape helps give it strength when it closes. Okay, so now if you look at our lid, it's no longer flat, it's bowl shape. That concave shape is going to give us strength when the door slams shut. And if you look at the spring on your trap, it should set just outside the lip of the can. I don't want it to be in even with the lip of the can, or the door sets in with too much space. Bring the trap back till the spring is just outside the edge of that can. Right there. Now I'm going to remove the lid. I'm going to mark the end of the trap with a marker. So when I remove that, see, we've got a nice outline on where to place our mousetrap. So listen to this sound. That's the sound of success. That means you've caught something. Hopefully when we get this one set up, it sounds just like that. And if you have this set outside your living room window and you hear, it's time to go check the bird trap. All right, now we're going to drill a couple of holes through the can to match up with our mousetrap, and then we can get this trap wired in. Here we go. Shape of a U, essentially. Poke it through here. We want that nice and flat, that wire. I'm going to use a hammer to tap it. This tab has to be able to be stepped on by a bird. And if the wire is sticking up, it will prevent the tab from going down, and all you'll be doing is feeding the birds. All right. Again, with the linesman's pliers, we're gonna tighten this up. Beautiful. I'm gonna cut off the ends here. With a pair of side cutters. Now we're ready to install the lid. We're going to mark holes where I'm going to drill to wire this on. If I just put wires on the sides of the bow of the trap, when the lid slams shut, it will slide upward. So in order to keep it in place, we'll need to attach it in 3 locations. On each side. That's okay. And 1 on the top. Now, to drill each of those holes. Again with the pliers, we just twist to snug it up. I'm not going to fully tighten it until we have all 3 of these wires in place. Excellent. No bird can get out through that hole, yet we can set our mouse trap through it, just like so. Again, when the mouse comes, or the bird comes along, touches the tab, off goes the trap. Perfect. Now we need to block up these holes. And I'll show you what I've done on this bird trap I built before. Was I took a piece of hardware cloth, wrapped it around the trap like wire, and then folded up pieces of wire to block escape. There is a school of thought that says trim the bottom off level or cut a notch, which would work. It would bring the entire lid down, but the problem becomes that then only the very top of the can is making contact when the trap slams shut. What we want to see is a lot of surface contact, gives it more strength, a better seal, plus you've got a tab up top for opening the trap. I'm going to drill 2 holes in the top of the can, wire the hardware cloth together, and you'll notice that these fingers are causing a problem with the lid shutting. So I'm going to take side cutters, and from this point on each side, I'm going to trim all that extra off. Let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, we've got the hardware cloth wrapped around the circumference of the can. We've got it cut off with all of these fingers pointed outward. Now we're just going to bend each one of those inward to prevent any escape. So I realized as soon as I came outside that this can is so super bright and shiny that I'm afraid it's going to scare away the birds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray it with some flat black spray paint to dull it, and make it blend in a little bit more with the environment. Okay. Now let's go ahead and set it. With the new paint job, I'm going to get some bird seed, put a little on the pan, put the rest inside. We can sprinkle a little bit around right here. And our live bird trapper is all set. Now it's just time to wait and see what happens.